If you're a man over 60 and someone told you to just eat more vegetables for better health, I need you to pause and hear this. Because one of the vegetables sitting in your fridge right now could be the reason your erections are fading, your prostate's acting up, and your energy is slowly crashing. It's not your age, it's your food. Specifically, it's what the world told you was good for you, but never told you what it does to your manhood. Dr. Moit Kara, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s reclaim their vitality and performance naturally. And what I've learned, again and again, is this: the most powerful medicine isn't in a bottle. It's already on your plate. What if I told you that some vegetables, yes, vegetables, are loaded with compounds that raise estrogen, harden arteries, and inflame your prostate? And the worst part? These are the same vegetables praised as heart-healthy by well-meaning experts. That's the catch. The foods you thought were helping ... may actually be doing the most harm. In this video, I'll reveal 4 vegetables you need to cut out immediately if you care about testosterone, circulation, and confidence, and 4 better ones that can actually boost blood flow, sharpen your energy, and support your prostate, starting within days. Stick with me until the end, because I'll expose one green veggie that can raise estrogen in men over 60 by more than 30%, yet most doctors never mention it. Once you hear this, you'll never look at your veggies the same way again. Before we dive into the truth about these foods that may be quietly damaging your health, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on that bell icon so you never miss another tip designed to keep you strong, confident, and sharp after 60. And if this helps you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I can keep improving these for you. All right, let's get into it, starting with the truth that almost no one tells men over 60. These are the 4 vegetables you need to avoid, because while they look healthy on the surface, they can quietly wreck your hormones, circulation, and vitality right when you need it the most. Let's take a closer look. Number 1, soybeans, including tofu, edamame, and soy milk. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Robert, 68 years old, retired school principal, bright mind, loving wife, but something was missing. He came into my office frustrated and a little embarrassed. "Doc," he said, "everything else works, but I don't feel like myself. I'm tired, my drive's low, and in the bedroom, the fire's just gone." We ran his labs. Everything looked okay. Heart's fine, cholesterol slightly high. But then I saw it. His estrogen levels were way too high for a man his age. Asked about his diet. He smiled and told me he'd switched to tofu, soy milk, and edamame. I thought it was heart-healthy, he said, and that's when it clicked. Soy, despite all the praise, is packed with phytoestrogens. These are plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen inside the male body. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but for men over 60, it's critical. Your testosterone is already on the decline. Adding estrogen-like compounds just tips the scale even further in the wrong direction. In real life, that means lower libido, less stamina, slower recovery, a soft, tired body, and yes, weaker, inconsistent erections. I've seen it more times than I can count. And it's not just the soy you see. It hides in everything. Protein bars, snacks, dressings, fake meats. The food industry loves soy because it's cheap, easy to use, and stamped healthy. But your body, especially your hormones, knows better. It's not just testosterone either. Some studies show soy can also raise inflammation and interfere with thyroid health in older adults. Now stack that with age-related blood flow issues and nerve sensitivity, and you've got the perfect recipe for declining energy and intimacy. Robert was stunned but open-minded. We cut out the soy. Within a few weeks, he was back with more energy. A month later, his wife sent me a handwritten note. It said, "You gave me my husband back." Now look, I'm not saying soy is poison, but if you're a man over 60 dealing with low energy, prostate issues, or declining performance, soy is one veggie you should probably skip. There are better ways to nourish your body without hurting your manhood. And speaking of healthy foods with hidden dangers, wait until I show you the vegetable that's supposed to help blood pressure, but when processed, might be stiffening your arteries and cutting off blood flow from the places you need it most. It's way more common than you think. Asterisk, let's take a closer look at number 2, pickled or canned beets. Not long ago, a patient of mine, Harold, 72, walked into my office looking confused. "Doc," he said, "I've been doing everything right. I eat beets almost every day. I heard they're great for blood flow, so I've been having them with dinner. But I still feel cold in my legs. And honestly, things aren't getting better down there either." That "down there" part came in a whisper, the way many older men speak when their confidence begins to fade. I gave him a nod and asked one simple question. "Harold, are you eating them fresh or from a can?" He paused. "Canned," he said. "Pickled sometimes too. It's just easier." And right there, that was the issue. Beets in their natural form are one of the best foods you can eat for circulation. They're loaded with nitrates, which your body turns into nitric oxide, a molecule that opens blood vessels and improves blood flow. That's crucial for strong legs, sharper memory, and yes, firm, reliable erections. But here's the catch. When beets are canned or pickled, most of that benefit vanishes. The high heat used during canning, combined with long-term shelf storage, destroys a major portion of the nitrate content. And when they're pickled, the added sodium and vinegar constrict your arteries, undoing the very benefit you're trying to get out. So in Harold's case, instead of boosting his blood flow, he was unknowingly stiffening his arteries, especially the small, sensitive ones that supply blood to the pelvic area. He was trying to help himself, but the form of the food was working against him. When we looked deeper into his diet, he was consuming almost double the recommended sodium intake. Most of it coming from those healthy pickled veggies. And that level of salt doesn't just raise blood pressure. It lowers nitric oxide, which reduces circulation and can even worsen erectile dysfunction in older men. We made a simple switch. Replace the canned beets with fresh, roasted ones, just a little olive oil and sea salt. Nothing fancy. Within 2 weeks, Harold noticed warmth returning to his hands and feet. By week 4, he had more stamina for his morning walks. And not long after that, his bedroom confidence returned. No pills, no procedures. Just real food in the right form. Now I tell every patient the same thing. Not all vegetables are created equal. Once they're processed, they change. What starts out as medicine can turn into something harmful. So next time you reach for a jar or can, stop and ask yourself, is this feeding my blood vessels or quietly shutting them down? And now, let's move to a vegetable often celebrated as a gift from nature. A staple of the Mediterranean diet, loved for its taste and texture. But for older men, especially those with joint pain or nerve issues, it may be a hidden cause of inflammation that affects much more than just your knees. Stay with me. This one shocks a lot of people. Asterisk number 3. Nightshade vegetables, especially eggplant. I'll never forget the afternoon. I sat down with Frank, a 75-year-old, retired contractor. Hands like worn leather. A heart the size of Texas. He came in for routine labs, but our conversation quickly got personal. "Doc," he said, "my knees hurt like hell. My back's aching. And to be honest, I've lost all feeling down there. No pain, just nothing. like someone turned off the lights. We ran the usual tests. Nothing major showed up, but something about Frank's story didn't sit right with me. He was active, took daily walks, ate what most would call a healthy diet, grilled vegetables, lots of color on his plate, just like the commercials say. And I asked him to walk me through his meals, and one word jumped out: eggplant. I eat it almost every night, he said. My wife bakes it with tomato and cheese, Mediterranean style. Now here's the thing. Eggplant sounds like a gourmet superfood, but it's part of the nightshade family, along with tomatoes, peppers, and white potatoes. Tomatoes, in moderation, can be helpful, but eggplant? For many older men, it's a hidden problem. Nightshades contain natural compounds called alkaloids, and in some people, these can spark low-level inflammation, especially in joints and nerves. Now, that might not sound serious, but if you're already dealing with age-related inflammation, these alkaloids pour gasoline on the fire. And for men like Frank, who had some circulatory slowdowns, it meant his nerve signals were taking the hit, not just in his knees, but in the pelvic region too. That numb feeling he described, it wasn't just about low testosterone or poor blood flow. It was about impaired nerve communication. Think of your body like an electrical grid. If the wires are corroded or inflamed, the signals can't pass through, even if the power's still on. That's what alkaloids can quietly do over time. So we took action. Removed eggplant, cut back on other nightshades, and something started to change. Within a few weeks, the tingling in his legs began to fade. His knees felt looser. Then one day, Frank came in with a grin, leaned in, and whispered, "Doc, it's coming back. I can feel something again." Moments like that. That's why I do this work. Now look, I'm not saying every man over 60 needs to be afraid of tomatoes or peppers. But if you're feeling stiffness, numbness, or pelvic discomfort, especially alongside intimacy issues, it's worth taking a hard look at your relationship with an IGHTSHADES. Because inflammation doesn't always show up as swelling. Sometimes it shows up as silence, a lost connection, a signal that can't get through. And speaking of lost signals, there's still one vegetable left on this list. It's one that even the healthiest eaters get wrong. A food praised for cancer prevention and full of promise. But when it's microwaved or overcooked, it flips. Its healing powers vanish. And it may be the reason your clean eating hasn't restored your strength. Stay tuned. This one surprises even the most careful health-conscious men. Asterisk. Let's dig into number 4. Overcooked broccoli, or microwaved cruciferous veggies. A man named Walter came to see me not too long ago. He was 69, widowed, a proud grandfather, and someone who'd followed health advice to the letter. He said, "Doc, I steam my broccoli every night. Been doing it for years. Heard it's great for the prostate and keeps me regular." He laughed when he said it, but under that chuckle was something more serious. He leaned in and admitted that his energy had dipped. More concerning, he was getting up more at night to pee, feeling mentally foggy, and things in the bedroom were fading. "I'm doing all the right things," he said. "So why do I feel like I'm fading?" That's when I asked one simple question. "Walter, how exactly are you cooking your vegetables?" With pride, he replied, "Oh, I steam the life out of that broccoli. Sometimes I nuke it in the microwave when I'm in a rush." That one line stopped me cold. Because here's the real deal. Broccoli is one of the most powerful foods for men over 60, especially when it comes to prostate health and detoxing excess estrogen. But it only works if you prepare it the right way. Broccoli, like other cruciferous veggies, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, contains a potent compound called sulforaphane. This stuff is a game changer. It helps your liver flush out toxins, reduces whole body inflammation, and most importantly, for aging men, it lowers excess estrogen and supports testosterone balance. But here's the catch. Sulforaphane is extremely heat sensitive. Overcook your broccoli, or worse, toss it in the microwave, and most of that healing compound is gone. What you're left with? A soggy, nutrient-stripped stalk that gives you fiber, but none of the hormone-supporting, prostate-protecting benefits your body desperately needs. Walter had been unknowingly removing the very compound his body was craving. He was trying to do the right thing, but the how was canceling out the why dot, so he made a small shift. He began lightly steaming his broccoli for just 3 minutes, or tossing it raw into a salad with olive oil and lemon. Nothing complicated. Within a couple of weeks, he felt more clear-headed. His nighttime bathroom trips slowed down. And over time, his daily energy started coming back. Small changes add up, especially in your 60s and beyond. Repeated habits either help your health or slowly chip away at it. And unfortunately, a lot of men are eating their veggies the wrong way. They're following the advice, eat more vegetables, without ever being told that how you cook them changes everything. So here's the truth. Overcooked broccoli doesn't just kill the flavor, it kills one of the most powerful compounds for men's health. And microwaving it? That's like dumping water on a fire. You actually need to burn bright. Now that you know which vegetables to avoid, or at least prepare with care, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the vegetables that can restore energy, sharpen your mind, and reignite your manhood. Because when you put the right foods on your plate, your body knows it. And the results show up in your confidence, your stamina, and your connection with your partner. So, what are the best performance-boosting vegetables? And how can they make you feel younger from the inside out? Stick around, that's coming up next. Let's find out. First up, arugula, the bedroom rocket fuel. There's something deeply moving about watching a man come back to life. I saw it happen with Tom, a 71-year-old former Air Force mechanic who hadn't felt like himself in years. He sat in my office one morning, quiet at first, then said, "Doc, I'm not asking for miracles. I just want to feel like a man again, like I used to." His wife had passed 3 years earlier. Since then, he said, the spark in both his body and his soul had dimmed. "I still want to live fully," he whispered. "I just don't know how to get back there." We talked through everything, his lifestyle, his meds, his meals. Nothing stood out. Until he described his diet. It was mostly beige, toast, pasta, meat. He barely touched greens, especially not the ones that matter most. That's when I introduced him to a quiet powerhouse. Arugula. Now, arugula might just look like another leafy green, but as a doctor, I can tell you, this one's special. This peppery little leaf is loaded with natural nitrates, which your body turns into nitric oxide, the very molecule that opens up blood vessels and lets blood flow freely. That matters a lot, especially in the areas where circulation makes or breaks a man's performance. Unlike medications that force blood flow and come with side effects, arugula works with your body's natural rhythm. It helps your arteries expand like they're meant to, nourishing every system. The result? More energy, warmer hands and feet, sharper thinking, and yes, stronger, more consistent erections. When Tom started adding just a handful of arugula to his meals, a bit on his eggs, a small salad with dinner, he wasn't expecting anything magical. But within a week, he noticed something different. His legs felt lighter, his mind clearer. And then, one morning, he woke up with something he hadn't felt in nearly 2 years. He smiled at me, mist in his eyes, and said, "Doc, it works." And I didn't need a blue pill. That's the quiet strength of arugula. It's not loud. It's not marketed to men over 60. But it works with the body to bring back dignity, power, and connection. And it's not just about the leaf. It's the message behind it. Real healing doesn't have to come from a bottle. Sometimes it grows from the earth, sits patiently on your plate, and offers to give you back what stress, age, and loss may have taken away. But arugula is just the beginning. There's another vegetable, one with incredible power, often ignored because it's a bit messy to prepare. But when eaten fresh, it sends a surge of blood through your system, wakes up your energy, and begins restoring performance in as little as 12 hours. Asterisk, let's explore it together. Number 2, red beets. Fresh or roasted only. When I think about the most underrated foods for men over 60, red beets always come to mind. I once worked with a patient named Carl to 67, a retired firefighter. Tough as nails on the outside, but a gentle soul within. Carl wasn't dealing with pain or disease. He came to me because of something slower, harder to explain. I still love my wife, he told me, but I just don't feel the energy. I used to. I don't feel like the man I once was. And I think she sees it too. We looked at everything. His sleep, stress, medications, and then one thing stood out to me, circulation. Carl's legs were cold in the mornings. His stamina was fading. He'd even begun skipping intimacy, not because he didn't care, but out of quiet shame. What most men don't realize is that when blood flow slows down, everything else soon follows. That's when I told him about red beets, the fresh, earthy kind you roast in the oven. They're not flashy. They stain your hands, and they've got a strong taste. But inside, they hold one of nature's most powerful blood flow boosters. Dietary nitrates. Your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a molecule that tells blood vessels to relax and open up, sending oxygen-rich blood to every part of your body, your legs, your brain, your heart. And yes, your penis. Beets are like a natural version of what the little blue pill tries to mimic. But this time, your body does the work on its own. Carl began roasting beets a few times a week. Olive oil, sea salt, and patience. Within days, he felt warmer. He was walking farther. His mind wasn't drifting like before. But the biggest shift? It came quietly. One early morning, leaning against my exam room counter, Carl smiled and said, "Doc." She smiled at me last night, like she used to. That meant more to me than anything. I've seen transformations like Carl's many times. Beets help restore a part of life men often think is gone for good, not just function, but confidence. And connection, Doc, and it's not magic. It's oxygen. It's circulation. It's blood moving like it should. But here's the catch. They must be fresh or roasted, not pickled, not canned. Once they've been boiled or soaked in brine, most of the nitrates vanish, and what's left may actually do more harm than good. That's why I always say, reeling starts with real food, prepared with real care. If you want to feel a difference in your energy, clarity, and connection, start with fresh red beets. Give it just 1 week. Your body will notice, and so might your partner. But red beets aren't the only secret weapon in your kitchen. There's another food, one that protects something far deeper, your prostate. It's rich, red, and becomes a powerful antioxidant when you cook it. Most men eat it raw and miss the real benefit entirely. Let's uncover this silent warrior. Number 3, cooked tomatoes, the silent prostate guardian. I still remember the day Richard came into my office. He was 74, silver hair, still, dressed sharp like the salesman he used to be. But behind his polished appearance, I saw something heavier. It's not just the constant urination, he said. It's the pressure, the worry. Every time I try to be intimate with my wife, I'm either too tired, too distracted, or too embarrassed by what doesn't work. Then he said something I'll never forget. I just want to be her man again, not her patient. What Richard was going through is something so many men face over 60. Prostate pressure, hormonal imbalance, a slow loss of confidence. What most men don't realize. There's a humble vegetable that's been quietly protecting the prostate for decades, and when eaten the right way, it can change everything. That vegetable is the tomato. But here's the thing. It's not about eating it raw when you cook. Tomatoes, whether roasting, simmering, or sauteing, they release lycopene, a powerful antioxidant. Lycopene specifically targets prostate tissue. It lowers inflammation, protects cells from oxidative damage, and helps reduce the risk of prostate enlargement. Even prostate cancer. It's not hype. It's been clinically studied. I told Richard to start simple. Cook tomatoes in homemade sauces. Roast it on toast. Even a warm tomato soup with olive oil and herbs. The key? Always include a healthy fat, like olive oil. It boosts lycopene absorption and turns a humble dish into prostate medicine. Within weeks, Richard noticed a shift. Less urgency at night, deeper sleep, more energy during the day. But what hit him hardest was something his wife said. You're laughing again. You're not glued to the bathroom door. That quiet transformation, from patient back to partner, is what I see time and time again with cooked tomatoes. They don't make headlines. They don't promise instant results. But they calm the inflammation and reduce the oxidative stress that slowly eat away at a man's strength. And this isn't about perfection. You don't need bowls of tomatoes every day. Just 2 to 3 servings of cooked tomato dishes per week with garlic, basil, and olive oil can make a real difference over time. But while tomatoes guard the prostate, there's one last vegetable that works on a different front. Not only does it support blood flow and hormone balance, it helps release testosterone. That's been trapped inside your body. It's the final piece, the forgotten key to helping older men feel truly alive again. And believe it or not, it's probably been sitting quietly in your fridge for years. Asterisk, let's talk about it. Number 4, spinach. The testosterone ally, sat across from Leonard, a soft-spoken 70-year-old man with kind eyes and a quiet strength. He'd been married for over 40 years, deeply in love with his wife, but he finally said something most men are too afraid to admit. I'm still in love with her, but I just don't feel like a man anymore. Not in my body, not in my mind, not in my desire. I feel faded. Leonard wasn't sick. He wasn't buried in medications. But the signs were clear. Low testosterone, low energy, mental fog, a lack of drive, and a growing distance from the woman he loved. Like so many men his age, he thought it was just what happens when you get older, something you accept, something you endure. But here's the truth. It's not just age. It's depletion, years of stress, processed food, poor circulation, and micronutrient loss. All of that chips away at your body's ability to produce and use testosterone properly. One of the simplest, most overlooked solutions. Spinach. Yes, spinach, the dark leafy green you pass in the produce aisle without a second thought. It's loaded with magnesium, folate, and natural nitrates. A nutrient trio that boosts testosterone, relaxes blood vessels, and sharpens your focus. Magnesium especially plays a key role. It helps free up bound testosterone in your blood, allowing your body to actually use the hormones it already has. For older men, that alone can mean the difference between fatigue and fire, between disconnection and confidence. I told Leonard to start simple. Just 1 handful of steamed spinach at breakfast or lunch every day. Within a few days, something shifted. First came the clarity. He felt more alert, more present in conversations. Then came the strength. His legs steadied, his walks grew longer, his posture straighter. But the moment that meant the most? One morning, his wife kissed him and said, "You're standing taller again." That's what spinach can do. Not because it's trendy or green, but because it nourishes the systems that matter most as you age. It helps with blood flow, balances your hormones, and it does it naturally, with no prescription, no side effects, and no loss of dignity. So don't overlook it. Whether steamed, sautéed, or blended into a smoothie, make spinach part of your daily rhythm. Over time, you won't just feel the change, you'll carry it with you. Asterisk, when I look back over the decades, I've spent helping men reclaim their strength after 60. One truth stands out. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. And it sure doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from the small, daily choices you make, especially the ones you put on your plate. I've watched men like Robert remove soy and watched their energy return. Harold, who ditched canned beets and finally felt warmth in his legs again. Frank, who gave up eggplant and began feeling sensation where there had once been only silence. Walter, who learned how to steam his broccoli just right and finally slept through the night without a bathroom interruption. These aren't miracles. They're small, steady, deeply human shifts, and they start when you know better. And choose better. And then there are men like Tom, who added arugula to his eggs, and one morning woke up feeling something he thought he'd lost forever. These foods aren't just vegetables, they're tools. Tools to help you feel like you again, clear, capable, confident. But before you go, there's one more thing you need to know. Even with the right vegetables on your plate, there's a critical mistake most men over 60 make at the dinner table, a habit that quietly weakens circulation and robs you of your strength. It's not about what you eat, it's about how and when you eat it. Let me explain that next, because it might be the key to unlocking everything we've just talked about. Asterisk Carl, who roasted his way back to energy with fresh red beets. Richard, who protected his prostate and rediscovered his rhythm through cooked tomatoes. And Leonard, who reclaimed his confidence, his posture, his voice, and his pride from something as simple as spinach. Each one of these men reminds me, aging doesn't mean fading. It means adapting, learning, choosing differently. Because the body, it's still listening, even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. And when you start feeding it what it truly needs, it responds. Maybe not in a flash, maybe not overnight, but quietly, steadily, and always with dignity. If there's one message I want you to take from this video, it's this. Not all vegetables are good for every man. And not every so-called health food deserves a place on your plate. What you avoid matters just as much as what you choose. The 4 we covered today: soy, canned or pickled beets, nightshades like eggplant, and overcooked cruciferous. Vegetables may slowly rob you of circulation, hormone balance, and the very strength that defines your masculinity. But the right 4? Arugula, fresh red beets, cooked tomatoes, and spinach. These aren't just vegetables. They're tools to rebuild your health from the inside out. You have more power over your energy, confidence, and vitality than you've been told. Your future doesn't have to be weaker than your past. And no matter your age, you are never too old to choose strength, one forkful at a time. I say this not just as a doctor, but as someone who's walked beside thousands of men who once believed they were too far gone, too broken, too late. They were wrong. And I hope now you know you're not too late either. You're just one good choice away from a better tomorrow. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to combine these powerful foods into simple, satisfying meals that support your circulation, balance your hormones, and boost bedroom confidence naturally. You'll get a 7-day eating plan that's helped countless men feel the difference in their legs, their hearts, and their lives. Don't miss it. Your next chapter starts now. If this video helped you or someone you love, please take a moment to like, share, and leave a comment below. Your story, your question, even just a thank you, might be the encouragement another man needs to take his first step. I read every comment, and your feedback helps shape every future video on this channel. If you know someone over 60 who's struggling with energy, intimacy, or confidence, share this video with him. It might do more than a prescription ever could. And if you'd like to help us keep this mission going, to bring honest, life-changing health advice to men around the world, consider making a small donation using the link in the description. Every contribution helps keep these videos free, independent, and available to those who need them most. Your health matters. Your voice matters. And your support means the world. So please, like, comment, share, and if you're able, donate. Let's keep building this community of strong, informed, empowered men, one smart choice at a time.